Take a breath, let it unwind. It's time to grow, time to shine. With Shiloh Bigles, you'll always find clarity and calm. On Open Your Mind.
Hey everyone, this is Shiloh with Open Your Mind, the show. Today I am so excited to have actually our first guest, Miss Jazmine Moore, and she is the owner and head chef at Green Panther Chef. She specializes in plant-based meals and wellness, so I am so excited to be able to ask her a bunch of different questions and find out what got her into this world and what opened her mind to alternative healing and, of course, healing with food. So, Miss Moore, Miss Jazz Moore, how do you go by? You go by Chef Jazz, I think.
Chef Jazz, yes.
Okay,
Or
perfect.
Jasmine,
Okay, perfect.
so confusing.
Well, before we do anything, how can everyone get a hold of you? What's your social media handle? Do you have a location, an email? How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, definitely. So we're based in Washington, D.C. Best way to get in contact with us is on our Instagram or email. So Green Panther Chef, just how it sounds, _ LLC. And then we have an email at info@greenpantherchef.com. That's the best way.
Perfect. Perfect. So info@greenpantherchef.com. And I'm sure you'll reply as soon as you're able to. That's fantastic. So I'm sure you get a lot of inquiries and questions. I'm definitely very excited. So of course, my first question is going to be, what inspired you to start Green Panther Chef? And how was it based on focusing in plant-based meals? How did that come about?
So Green Panther Chef is actually kind of a merger in between necessity and then what I saw was a hole in the market. Myself, I have Crohn's disease. And so I started using cannabis actually prior to legalization. So in the legacy market. And so I started to get off a lot of the medications. I started to actually feel better. And I started to get a lot of inquiries around, what are you doing? So I was infusing my meals. I went to culinary school, to back up just a little bit, but I was infusing my meals with cannabis, low doses. And then, that was kind of like the birth of Green Panther. People were like, hey, this kind of seems interesting, especially after Initiative 71 that happened in DC in 2014. So we started actually in 2017. I was still a little apprehensive. But yeah, that's how it kind of all came about, was just necessity in the market and then my need and my fulfillment.
That's so exciting to hear. And that's actually kind of what got us into the hemp market too, is we had an employee with severe, severe Crohn's that he was not able to put into remission yet. And we met a hemp grower out of Kentucky, and he's like, okay, just try these capsules. And they were just a really strong full spectrum with the actual buds, not just hemp oil, which was
Yes.
pretty much all that was in the market. And after like a few days, and he was a regular cannabis user, so he was utilizing, the intoxicating part of it. And then he just started in these oil capsules, and he was able to eat and drink foods that he hadn't been able to eat in years. Obviously his flare-ups went down, everything. By the time that we started in the hemp market, my Crohn's was in remission. And I was able to put mine into remission from complete dieting change and break. And I'm not saying dieting, I'm just saying giving myself a digestive break of so many things and just resetting my GI tract, resetting my gut to brain axis, and giving everything a break. So it was really just fasting for almost 3 months on a very few select items. And then I slowly added stuff back in, and I have been in remission for almost 13 years now. So that's the power of food or not consuming food that we know of. And then I use our focus every single day, which is CBD and CBG. We love the miners and the plants, so that's really good to be able to utilize the whole plant, not just the intoxicating part.
Absolutely. The elimination diet is super important. You have to go through that process as well. So
Yep.
yeah, you got to have clarity is what you can consume, especially in the GI tract. It's 70% of our triggers happen inside of the gut. And a lot of
Yep.
people Yeah, they have issues, and it really just comes down to gut homeostasis.
Yep, exactly. What are we consuming and how is it being absorbed? All of that. So that's awesome. I love that. I love that backstory and hearing about the healing, especially with the cannabis plant. And of course, what you were eating had a ton to do with it as well. So it wasn't just the plant itself helps so much with especially the symptoms, but
Hmm.
it does also help producing good probiotics, it's prebiotics, antiviral, antibacterial. So all of this in one, everything that our gut needs to help protect us. So that's fantastic. I love hearing that. And I love hearing these stories of healing, and especially that being what started you on your road to Green Panther Chef.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
fantastic. So, how did you go mainly plant based versus having, meat, dairy, stuff like that? Or are you completely plant based?
So actually, I grew up raw food vegan.
Oh,
And
okay.
when I went to culinary school, I would guess I became a rebel. So I became a pescatarian, and I actually
Okay.
realized that my body does need those B12s and those type
Okay.
of vitamins and minerals as well. So I do eat very sparingly some types of fish,
Okay.
but yeah, I am primarily 80% plant-based, 20%
Okay.
pescatarian. So it's like a merger of the both, like really understanding what my body needs. And so sometimes just going plant-based, I realized that, and this was early on in my journey, that I just needed more, a little bit more substance, you know?
Yeah.
And so the coconut milks and the nuts and everything, those are great, but sometimes you just need a little bit more, especially when you're dealing with a GI issue, you
Hmm.
know? So, yeah.
Especially with being a female too, we need some of those, we need some extra fats and some of
Iron
the
and
extra
yes.
omegas certain times of the month. So you need the nutrients that can come from fish, which it's in so many plants as well, and
Mhm.
legumes and all
Mhm.
of it, but sometimes it's just that little extra kick, so that's great.
Exactly, exactly.
So how do you typically customize meal prep for your clients and their specific dietary needs?
So we go through a process. Actually, we have a proprietary process from the plant cannabis process, so the cannabis method, where we really clarify your needs and what you need in order for us to you to gain homeostasis or whatever outcome you want with the plant. And then we backtrack from there. So we're looking at elimination diet as well. What are you currently consuming? Keeping a food journal around that for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we back into, all right, well, let's start to introduce this and let's take away this. Or, it's a whole entire method and a process that we walk through. And then at the end of it, we call it your signature method. And so these are recipes and meal prep if you want us to go 100% and do it on for yourself. But we typically like to empower people. So we give them the recipes and the technology and the mindset, really, and the process, the framework, in order for them to really create it on their own. Because some of my clients, they're not in DC, and so a lot of them are either really far away in California, Michigan, Florida, I mean, all over,
Yeah.
and so shipping meals just sometimes isn't it.
Yeah.
So us really empowering them and walking through either I have a lot of recipes in our cookbook, more than a cannabis cookbook. It's broken down into 7 parts, and so we really focus on the common issues around insomnia, gut health,
Yeah.
anxiety, and so that's a baseline for the recipes that they can create. But then we really handhold around like the elimination diet and the journaling process and clarity as to what you want your relationship to be between food and cannabis, because there's so many different ways that you can consume it.
Yeah. And so typically, are you using, and this may be a question that I have later on too, are you using the whole plant when you're infusing products, when you're infusing food? So you're using the bud, the stem, the leaves, the oil itself, and I would imagine you use a lot of hemp oil to cook with. So
Yes.
you do both? Okay.
Yes. So we use, depending on your outcome, some people totally just want to use CBD, and that's absolutely fine. But
Okay.
I really do press on the full spectrum. in the whole
Good.
entire plant. And so, yes, RSO oil is sometimes something that we use in a lot of our, especially for our patients that have stubborn issues,
Yeah.
RSO oil is something that we use. And then utilizing the entire plant. There's a recipe in our book called a buddy broth where we're using the stems,
Oh,
we're
nice.
soaking that and just extracting whatever minerals from there. And you can use that in soups and stocks in place
Nice.
of water.
Nice. Oh, it sounds, my mouth's watering. Hey everyone, Shiloh with Level Mind CBD. Today we're talking about our Calm Full Spectrum Oil. This is going to be our whole plant extract, so it's going to have a very earthy taste with all of the terpenes still intact. So this is perfect for infusing in anything that you don't mind a little bit of the cannabis flavor with. You can use it in salad dressings, oils, cooking, even in smoothies. If you're okay with that cannabis taste, this is perfect for it. That's awesome. Okay, so can you share in a simple way something that people can do to incorporate plant-based meals into their diet, and of course adding any kind of cannabis oil that they have on hand, whether that be CBD, full spectrum, anything like that, just some simple ways that we can start doing it on a daily basis to get that into our system.
Definitely. So two ways, actually. I always suggest either a salad dressing. A lot of people are kind of like, just the bioavailability in a salad dressing works. I mean, it breaks the blood-brain barrier really fast. And then also a smoothie. So getting those good fats with your coconut milk, you can add berries, fruits, and then also a little bit of your hemp oil as well. Fun story, I actually started when I was in my elimination diet. I started with a juice called ABC. And I added an extra C for the cannabis. So I would literally take non-decarboxylated cannabis and add it to apple, beet, carrots, just so I can start to add those nutrients and then having the benefits of the cannabis. And I still actually drink that at least once a week, but that is one of the simplest ways that we can add cannabis into our diet and reap the full benefits too. And it's super easy.
So your ABCC, you're doing apples, beets, carrot, and you're juicing those. And then how do you use the bud itself?
So I literally throw it inside of our juicer as well.
Okay, so you put it, really?
Yeah, so I call it the chuck-a-nug method. I call it the chuck-a-nug method. Nice. So literally the juicer that I have, it's a fresh press juicer. And so it really presses all of the extracts and minerals out into the juice. So what comes out is just like a really fine pulp, so you want to make sure you have a really great juicer if you're going to use that method, because you're really not going to get any. You can't put it in a blender. So that's why I do recommend also smoothies as well. So if you have an extract, you can just blend everything and then you can dose with your cannabis oil into your smoothie or salad dressing.
That's perfect mix. Okay, those are two really simple ways. So take note, that's perfect. Easy way to consume it, easy way to add it into daily life. So that's fantastic. And then how do you personally maintain sustainability in your business and your personal life?
Cool. Sustainability, definitely having relationships in this industry. The industry is very small. And so we know all of our suppliers, our growers. So we actually went out to a farm that's in Virginia, a hemp farm. And so we get a lot of our hemp from them. And so creating your own ecosystem is the best way for you to create sustainability and longevity in this relationship, and really keeping relationships too. Myself, I try to use the entire plant. If I get anything whole flower, I mentioned the buddy broth, but then I'm extracting the oils. I have a second gen process as well, where after we extract the cannabis, we re-extract it again, going through a similar method so we can create our plant pantry. And so that's full of hot sauces and honeys that we can easily use and dose throughout the day.
Nice. That's fantastic. That's so much easier too when people are thinking about it and they're like, oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. Yeah, but you can just take a tablespoon of this and you're good to go. So for so many people, resetting our brains and resetting our habits, which is the most important thing to reset, is thinking that you don't have time to do something. But if you don't make this time, you won't have time for anything.
Exactly. So you're going to pay for it on the later end.
Exactly. Exactly. So if you make sure that you make time for these things, they're going to benefit you in the long run. And it's just going to take time to reset, make the new habit. Oh, wait, I forgot my tablespoon of this. I forgot my tablespoon of that. I need to start meal prepping, doing all of this instead of being out all the time and doing that. So it's really important to be able to actually change the way
Yeah.
you think and open your mind to different possibilities and actually be able to do exactly that. Open
Ex-
your mind to another
Exactly.
world of alternative medicine, whatever that may be, plant medicine, herbal medicine, mushroom medicine, whatever it may be. It's all about giving it a chance. And
Exactly.
so many people don't understand, like, it's going to take a little while for you to feel this. Like, it's not going to be overnight, just like any diets or fads that are out there. Nothing is overnight. There's no magic pill, and being able to just help these people to guide them along and say, okay, you need to give it time. You need to see these things. So I love that you're doing that. It's fantastic.
It's a retraining. It really is a retraining. I think the DARE
Yep.
program has done a number,
Yep.
especially in our area around I'm not going to say the brainwashing, but there is a certain mindset around cannabis where
Yep.
people think that you're supposed to look a certain way, do a certain thing, and it's
Yep.
completely the opposite,
Yep.
especially when you get into these spaces, you see it really is medicine, and it really does
100%.
help people. So I just love
Everyone can function better with it.
it.
And
Yeah.
I even say it with my customers that are on a little bit higher doses, what people would consider. I'm like, this is still a functioning dose for them. And they are such a better person when they bring in their wives and their kids and they're like, you don't understand. This has helped me to change. I'm a better parent. I'm
Yes.
a better husband or wife. Like, it's so fantastic to hear these stories. And what you were talking about with sustainability and relationships, that's exactly what you need, because you need these relationship successes that come from it. So these are your customers, your clientele, even the farmers, all the stuff that you get to learn from them, where you're like, you're hearing their successes and this all gets added into it. So our tiny little market starts to grow bigger.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
And that is the point. That is the
I
point,
love it. And that's true sustainability. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what is your absolute favorite dish to make that exemplifies the healing power of food and cannabis?
Hmm.
And I know you said the ABCC, that's a go-to,
Yes.
but what's
Yes.
another one?
So there's two actually. I really love a salad niçoise, right? Yeah, I love that just because of the protein that it offers, and then also the variety of vegetables. It's extremely balanced, but then it also comes down to the dressing that we use. Of course, we are using infused cannabis oil, and then we do a very quick vinaigrette with like a champagne vinaigrette. I probably eat that salad. I mean, I'm biased, probably like once or twice a week. But I do also love a really good cauliflower risotto. So
Ooh,
using coconut milk as well. And
that's
so,
super
yeah,
good.
and then our extra virgin olive oil that we have infused. So I probably have that into my diet at least once a week. I don't eat or consume a wide range of things just because of Crohn's disease.
Mhm.
But I have been able to introduce a lot more foods in my diet. And what I know works, I definitely just stick with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important too. Once we find out what these triggers are, where you have to stay away from them. And so many of the triggers are going to be the things that are everywhere,
Exactly.
everywhere.
It's
At
not
every turn, every party you go to, they're everywhere. So it's just
exactly.
understanding that you will pay for this again, the
Exactly.
consequences of either good or bad decisions later on. So,
I'm the one who always carries like a bag of little trail mix, macadamia nuts and pumpkin seeds, and I'll
yep,
have my infused oil. Like, I'm that girl. So,
yep.
yeah.
Yep. And I'm hypoglycemic on top of it too. So I always have snacks around with me. It's hummus and carrots, and peanut butter apple is like one of my favorite snacks. So any nut butter
Hmm.
with like a Granny Smith green apple,
Yes.
it's just like my go-to. So
That's totally my jam. That's
it's
totally
so
I love that. Right.
it's so perfect. I'm like, you don't understand. You're getting your protein, for me, a tiny bit of sugar to break down. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm good to go. So I
Exactly.
definitely get very, very hangry. So people know they're like, you need a snack. I'm like, you know what I do? I need to stop what I'm doing. Again, consequences. If I do not
Exactly.
stop and eat something right now, you and me are going to pay for it. So it's not going to be a good thing.
Definitely.
So, okay, well, tell us a little bit more about like what Green Panther Chef offers. So, I know you said like some meal prepping and shipping, and then you do recipes, things like that. So, obviously, people can check with you and see what your offerings are, but how does it work? Do you take on any client? Are you more specific? Do you do any kind of background and see if they're going to work with you? Because
Yeah.
that's important too. So, how does it work?
That's always important. So, Green Panther Chef, we actually started as a full service cannabis catering company. So, we still offer that as well. And we do a lot of partnership events. So, we
Okay.
have an actual retreat that's coming up in November
Oh,
as
fun.
well. We're working with Front Row Travels on that, but we have a retreat that we're doing. It's a 2-day retreat. But yeah, back up a little bit. Green Panther Chef started as a full service cannabis catering company. And so we typically go into people's homes, create an edible experience. And so that's more open source. But now what I'm looking at are more clients coming to us. I definitely have a process of just like questions, where you are, what's your relationship with the plant right now? What is your outcome? And then just seeing what's your timeline for you to get started as well.
Okay.
So that is typically the process. We just got to see if we're a good fit as well, because some of the things when we're talking about elimination diet, some people don't want to do that, but they do want to add cannabis, but then they still want to reap the whole benefit. So it really is like, what is your relationship with the plant, with food, and what is your outcome? How committed are you to this
Okay.
process? So we typically do our catering. We have a lot of consulting that we do, and then events.
Okay, awesome. So
Yeah.
on the meal prep side, do you send prep meals and do
Yes.
you have anything that you offer specifically under your brand name, like a salad dressing? Do you have anything on your website that can be purchased that can just be okay, let's try this out, see how we do. And yeah, do you have any of those products?
So we actually have something, I mentioned it earlier. It's called our plant pantry. That's
Okay.
under House of Panther. So we have a line of hot sauces and honeys that are infused with
Ooh.
CBD. And
Okay.
so we are using, they're testing below 0.03%. So they
Okay.
are available for shipping, but we have two
Okay.
different types of hot sauces, honeys. We have a peach peppercorn syrup and a
Ooh.
salad dressing and marinade. I love
Okay.
to either a mix of those two. So the salad dressing can be cut with olive oil, or you can actually just use it as a full-on marinade.
Ooh, that sounds so good. I'll
Yeah,
definitely
yeah. It
have to look
just lets
some.
people kind of test their flavors, because you don't have to deprive yourself after
Yeah.
you go through this elimination diet. Things can still be very colorful and flavorful, and you can be still very satisfied. So the plant pantry is just like a tip in that direction.
That's perfect. I love it. And I know I asked again, but I keep distracting you too. But like, so do you send prepared meals or is it typically just an outline of how you're going to sustain yourself in your own home? How does that work?
So we do for very specific clients.
Okay.
So typically the clients that work with us on that, they typically want to use RSO.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are using, those are more like high dose type of
Yep.
clients where they either cannot really prepare on their own. So
Yep.
yes, we do in very specific cases, but a lot of times we do like to empower the people and just let them know this is what you can get at your local grocery store, and then you don't want to just microwave food, that really reduces the nutrient value as well. So really just teaching them how to do it with the resources that they have. It's really what we're about. But in some cases, yes, we do prepare and ship meals on dry ice, and that's for next day delivery.
Okay, well, that's definitely good to know because I know I have a lot of customers who are interested or already using RSO or have
Mhm.
access to it, and it's so important. It's definitely a much more niche market for the people who actually need it, but to be able to have something that they could somehow infuse with it,
Mhm.
because just your typical, okay, take a tiny little dot of this very intense oil, very
Mhm.
earthy oil
Right.
and infuse that. So if it was something that they could consume on a daily basis, something really easy,
Mhm.
it makes it much, much easier. And then their dosing is a little bit better as well, where they're
Exactly.
actually have prepared amounts and you're helping them with that as well. So that's great. I love that.
It's funny because a lot of people, they do that earthy flavor of RSO.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people are like, hey, well, can you just make this for me? Because, yeah, we are balanced in terpenes and flavors. So it's not just so gritty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally what our Calm, our full spectrum oil we have on the edge. It says earthy. Like we do not do any, we used to use an orange flavonoid. We never used any flavoring, anything like that, but we did an orange flavonoid. And for some people, the essence of orange was just too strong on their stomachs where they would just get a stomach ache. And it was like so light. And then orange is just not for everybody. So we're like, you know what? We did it. We tried a flavor with a flavonoid and we're like, we're just going to leave it earthy. This is exactly how the plant was intended to taste. So we're not going to change the taste of it. So, but for so many people, and I always tell any of my elderly people starting, I'm like, you know, this oil doesn't taste the best, but I promise you the benefits are great because you don't want to turn someone off when that. So it's frustrating. That's why the CBDs and CBGs and CBCs are easier to use because they typically are from isolate. So many people don't understand that they don't really have a taste at all. So they're perfect for infusing for elderly or even younger generation, our kids, where you're like, okay, you're not going to taste this at all and you're going to get total benefits. Exactly. And then with the whole plant, you can introduce that after that earthy taste and make sure everyone's going to be okay with it. But that's what's great with the hot sauces and the honeys and syrups, to be able to mask that a little bit, but you're still consuming the terpenes and feeling them. So I love that.
Exactly. Awesome. Exactly. It's all about the stepping stone and layering in layers of health, you know, and wellness in different ways.
Exactly. Well, it has been absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited to have met you and been able to talk to you. Thank you for being my first guest. I'm so excited. And once again, how can anyone reach out to you via social media or email?
Yes. So at Green Panther Chef _LLC on Instagram, and then also info at greenpantherchef.com. Of course, you can always check out our website so you can see all of our offerings, our events, our courses at www.greenpantherchef.com.
Okay, so greenpantherchef.com. We can get some of those honeys, hot sauces, some salad dressing, the marinade mix. I'm definitely very excited. I will be ordering some. So once again, it's been a pleasure. This is Chef Jazz with Green Panther Chef.
Bye, thanks.
Yay. Hey everyone, Shiloh here with Level Mind CBD. Today we're talking about our focus oil. This is my favorite. This is my go-to. I use it every single day. It's our CBD and CBG 1-to-1 ratio. I love this oil for infusing in anything you can think of. It is going to be as close to tasteless as you can get. So into smoothies, juices, into any kind of no-baked goods. This is fantastic because you're actually not going to be able to taste it and you're going to get that full benefit.
Open your mind.